Before we jump into today's show, I just wanted to let you know that I have got a brand new 3-part audio series available to download right now. If you head over to donnaeid.com/3-part audio, that's all one word, no spaces, you can download your How to Build Your Authority with Podcasting audio series. This is going to address guesting and hosting. So if you're interested in either of those and you want to know how to build your authority, head over to donnaeid.com/3-part audio. The link will be in the show notes. You're listening to the Mindset and Action Podcast, the place to be to grow and streamline your business. I'm your host, Donna Eid. Let's jump into the show. Welcome back to the podcast, everybody. I'm so glad to have you here for this 4th episode in our live podcast series. So these are the episodes that went live on stage with me at the Mindset and Action event that I held at the beginning of April. This episode is with the wonderful Janine Coney. We were talking all about audience building. Janine amassed a huge following on Instagram. It is one of those ones that everybody would have been envious of, especially a few years ago when you couldn't get the swipe up feature unless you had 10,000 followers and before the link section came in on Instagram. So she built a fantastic following without buying followers, never did any of that kind of stuff. It was all organic, but she decided to make a pivot and move away from the audience that she had built. So we are talking all about the reasons why she pivoted, the reasons why that audience wasn't working for her anymore, and what it is that she has done and is putting in place to correct that. So if you are looking to build your audience on social media, then make sure that you listen to this episode. Before I let you jump into that, I do want to let you know of 2 classes that I have got coming up very, very soon. So the first one is for virtual assistants. So if you are a virtual assistant, listen up, come back to me. You want to listen to this. So if you are looking to upskill and offer more services within your remit, then I would love for you to come and fill in a survey for me. I'm doing a little bit of market research. It's donnaeid.com/VA podcast. donnaeid.com/VA podcast. It is 7 questions. You answer those questions, fill in that form, and what that's going to do is help me create this class. What it is going to produce at the end of it is a VA production podcasting workshop. It's going to be fully comprehensive. I've already got a lot of ideas of what I'm going to be teaching in it, but this survey is really going to help me to understand what it is that the audience is wanting in that respect. So if you are interested in adding podcast production skills and services to your remit, then go and fill in that form, donnaeid.com/VA podcast. 3 people who fill it in will be getting a free place on the first workshop. Everybody else will get a hefty discount on that workshop. So it's well worth going and filling it in if it is something that you have considered. So that is the first one. The second one I'm going to tell you more about in the coming weeks. If you are on my podcast mailing list, then you will be the first to know. So if you want to be the first to know about that second class and you want more information on the VA one, then go to donnaeid.com/podsquad, sign up for my weekly newsletter, and you will have all that information in there. So without further ado, let's jump back into this live episode with Janine Coney.
Okay, so Janine, before we start,
what's your name and where do you come from?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say. What's your name and where do you come from? Tell us a little bit about what you do.
Hello, Scylla.
and don't forget to eat the microphone.
Yeah. So, hello everybody. My name's Janine Coney. I'm a marketing, personal branding and business coach. And I work with female founders and leaders who are looking to stand out from the crowd, who want to build their business and want to be known as the one, the expert in their field and the one that people choose. So that's in brief what I do. We're going to go into more detail, I think.
Yeah. So the reason that I asked Janine to come to talk, and if you follow her on Instagram, you'll know she has a rather large following on Instagram. And it was, when I looked at it, I was like, oh, that's what I want. That's what I want. And then I spoke to Janine and I was like, oh no, that's not what I want. That's not what I want. So Janine, tell us about your audience and how you created it and how you got it to where it is. And then we'll jump into all the reasons why we might not want to do it like that.
Exactly. Well, it will all unfold as I tell you. So I worked, as I've said to you, in marketing and events all of my career, and HR as well. And then I made a massive pivot in 2018 when, after losing both my parents, and I think somebody said earlier, actually, it's at those times where you really do look at your life and think, what am I doing? And I actually then retrained as an image consultant. And I thought at that point, wow, this is what I really, really want to be doing. So I set out on Instagram at that point. And although I built brands for other people, I've got to be honest, I didn't set out at that point thinking, oh, I'm building my brand here. I was just thinking, I need to be known. And I think that's the biggest thing with personal branding, actually, is you want to be known. I didn't set out to be famous or anything. And I just started posting photos. And I was at the time when Instagram was easier to increase your following. And I literally was posting, after what we've talked about this morning, kind of like morning, noon and night, really. And it did really grow my following as well. What I didn't do, I know we're not going into that, but people's minds might go straight away, did you buy followers? Never bought followers. I never got engaged in any follow pods or whatever you call, where people like follow me and we all have to comment on everybody's posts at 7 o'clock in the morning. But I did get very, very caught up in the world of influencing at that time. And that might look really super lovely to you. And yes, it helped build my audience. But what it wasn't doing is it wasn't building my audience with the customers, with the clients that I wanted. I was building my audience as an influencer. And as I said to Donna, which you were quite surprised, I then quickly realized that I wasn't using all of my skills. If you want the shortened version, just tell me. I quickly realized I wasn't using all of my skills, and I really missed the marketing. I missed the branding, and I was going out and about to lots of networking meetings and meeting people, and I was thinking, I could help you do that. I can help you do that. So it was that point I thought, actually, and going on, I think, from this morning's conversation as well, I think that was the point I realised and really realised where my zone of genius was. And we all have that. And we were talking about that this morning. The place that really makes you fired up and really excited to be in. And that for me was when I was coaching people, when I was really helping them get truly, truly visible in what they wanted to do. So at that point, without going on too much there, I decided that it was time to pivot my business. And it was at that point where I had grown my audience and I had grown my audience. But obviously my audience had to change at that point. And I realized that at that point as well, that growing an audience as an influencer is very different than growing an audience as somebody in business. And I had to, at that point, make that decision, what route I wanted to go down. And I knew that I had wanted my business to actually go in the direction I wanted it to, not as an influencer, because being sent stuff, although it was lovely, and working with the brands is lovely, but it wasn't paying the bills. So if you weren't getting paid for it, even though I was being sent things, and I was going to events and having photographs taken, wonderful, and it built my audience. But at a certain point, I realised it wasn't building it in the way that I wanted it to. So I think a clear lesson from that, from my point of view, even though I have a very large audience of engaged people, is make sure that you're building your audience for your clients. Because I then had to pivot, and I actually lost a lot of followers. Am I going on too long now, Donna? And I lost a lot of followers at that point. But I just want to get this out. So I lost a lot of, and then I gained them again. Yeah, so I had to lean into that at that point too.
So what should we be focusing on when we're looking at building that right audience?
You need to be focusing on who your ideal client is. Now, I bet everybody in this room is going to go, I know that, Janine, but how many people are actually making sure that they are engaging with the people that they want to work with without worrying about what anybody else thinks, without thinking about what your peers think, and definitely without thinking what the latest trend is? People connect with people, and you need to make sure that you are as authentic as you can be, and you are showing people your point of difference. Because if you're trying to blend in with everybody else, then you're not going to have any point of difference for anybody else to want to follow you. But that then doesn't mean you've got to be the loudest. And it doesn't mean you've got to be the person jumping around on reels or doing something that doesn't feel right for you. But it does mean having an opinion. And it does mean being, as I say, authentic and making sure that you're speaking to the right people, because they will listen. You will call people in and you will repel people away. And that's fine too.
So when we're looking at all the different platforms where we can build an audience, what would you say we need to consider when we're focusing? Because some of us are everywhere and scrambling and trying to be everywhere and are exhausted. Others of us are on a platform because we like it, but we're speaking into the abyss because our audience actually isn't there. And then others of us just don't even want to even look at it because, my God, it's enough already. So how do we sort of make sure that we're focusing on the right platforms? And I know that you've had a bit of a change recently with that as well. So talk about that.
Yeah, exactly. I've obviously I built my personal brand and my business on Instagram, and I'm still very prolific on Instagram, and I love it. But I also realised that the businesses that I work with and a lot of the people I work with now are on LinkedIn. So I've obviously now taken my focus over onto LinkedIn, which isn't easy when you start again, especially from my point of view. But I think for anybody, if you are starting out, then you need to start on one platform and build that up and make sure that you're happy. But make sure the platform that you're on is the one, again, where your ideal client is and your audience is. There is absolutely no point being on TikTok or on whatever other channel just because maybe your 15-year-old is and tells you it's amazing if that's not where your clients are going to be seen, or you're going to be seen by your ideal client. And I think although that's an older piece of advice, I think it's something to, and what I mean by that is, you won't have heard, that won't be the first time you've heard anybody say that to you, I'm sure, but it's still very, very true. And people do get sucked in by new trends and new things that are coming out and feel, how many people still use Threads now? So don't be sucked in by everything. Make sure that you are literally going where your client goes or your ideal
Threads actually annoys the heck out of me. Anybody else? Like, I'm on Facebook and I see something that's interesting and I click on it, it takes me into Threads. I'm like, that's not what I wanted. Why am I over here? It's really annoying. So what do you actually talk about to your audience on these platforms, and how can we work out what we need to be sharing?
Okay, so you want to be giving people an insight into you. We were talking earlier, and you can't just be selling all the time. Nobody wants that. People will just scroll on by if all you're doing is buy this is what it's going to do for you. You need to be engaging with your audience so that they can understand who you are and why they should be picking you. But what you want to be doing is going in with a particular subject that you want to talk about and let people know where they are, and you want to let people know where they can get to. So you're kind of calling people out in a sense. You're saying, I know you're here, but you want to get to here. And this is how I can take you there. And that's what you want to do. And then you can talk about some of your own experiences as well. So you should be sharing exactly what took you from where you are to where they want to be. Because most people have walked where their clients are walking. So you want to be sharing that as well. You want to be sharing the good things, and you also want to be sharing the bad things as well. You want to make sure that you're letting them know that you're a real person, that things happen to you. Like, you probably wouldn't believe that years ago, I suffered so badly with panic attacks, even being able to sit here and do this. Well, I just wouldn't have been able to do it. In fact, I couldn't have even sat in the front row for any length of time because I'd have had to be known I can get out the room. So for me, it's a huge thing that I can come and do this. Now, some people would say, why would you talk about that? And I'm not in the pain of it now, so I can talk about it. So I do believe in sharing the struggle. What I don't believe in is sharing the struggle when you're going through it that day. Nobody wants you coming on going, I'm having a crap day today, and la la la, and the next day you're back on going, bye from me, because that's a bit, but you can talk afterwards of things that you've been through.
Amy Porterfield says, share the scabs. Or share the scars, not the scabs.
Don't talk from the pain.
Yeah, exactly. So do you have a strategy when it comes to your social media, and how have you kind of worked on that over the years?
Okay, my strategy sometimes goes out the window because I do change my mind quite a lot on things.
We're allowed to change our mind, aren't we?
And let's keep it real. However, it's definitely not a throw a spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks scenario at all. Obviously, my marketing brain kicks back in, and you have to have a strategy and you have to have a plan. It's as simple as that. You've got to know where you're taking your business. And when you know where you want to take your business and you know what you need to sell, then you can plan back from that and work out exactly what you need to do to get you there. And I make that sound simple, but really, in reality, that's what you've got to do. So if you know you've got something coming up, you know, and what I do say is most people don't give themselves the right amount of time to do the marketing for anything or to advertise or to promote something. They're not thinking about how they're getting visible afterwards. So, yeah, these are really important things.
Yeah. So when we go home today and we're looking at all of the social stuff that we're doing, what are 3 things that we could do to start moving us towards being in the right place, showing up for the right people and attracting them?
Okay, 3 things that you can do is, first of all, have a look at your feed and see what it's telling other people. Have a look at it, and if it's on Instagram, look at the last 9 posts that you put on. And if I didn't know what you do, would I look at it and know exactly what any of you do from that? If you're not posting consistently, ask yourself why, and what can you do that fits in with you and your business. It doesn't mean that you've got to be posting 3 times a day or even every day. You need to post, but you need to post consistently. Now, you can be consistently, am I allowed to swear? Yeah. You can be consistently shit. So when I say be
Kat
consistent,
didn't ask.
So make sure that your consistency is obviously not shit, and you are, showing up when you say you're going to show up for your audience. That's number 2. Number 3 is, please ditch the boring bios, the boring I help statements, and remember that people want to know exactly how you're going to move them from A to B.
I'm going to do a little name drop now, because just as you were saying that, I thought, oh my goodness, like knowing what you're going to post and having a strategy and how is it going to fit in with you. I had a conversation with Denise Duffield-Thomas the other day. Woo. Look out for it on the podcast coming soon. And she said that she's already done her social media for the year. Done it. Already done it. Why? Because she doesn't like to spend days. She's very much like Andrea. She doesn't want to spend days and days on her business. So she has set things that she does on set days. Thursdays is her podcast and interviews day. She gets dressed up. She does her hair, does her makeup. The rest of the time, she's not got her makeup on. And she has already done her social media posts for the entire year. So that's how far her strategy goes, that she's sorted out. She knows when she's doing launches, whatever it is that she's doing in her business, it's done. She doesn't have to think about it anymore. And I was like, well, that's amazing. I'm not quite that good, but this is sort of stuff that we can implement, isn't it? Whether it's to that degree or whether it's just making sure that the next month is sorted. Sit down for half a day and get it sorted. And, we can use ChatGPT to help us as long as we make it our own.
The other thing is people don't blow their own trumpet enough, especially women. We don't blow our trumpets enough. So if you do something, then tell people, you've got to get comfortable doing that. It's not showing off. It's letting people know your brilliance.
Yeah, well, that was my first drop just for Julia, because she told me she was going to come after me if I didn't tell people that I'd interviewed this woman. So
exactly.
Okay, so I'm going to come to you guys for questions in a second, but one that I did get dropped into the Q&A was, we've covered a little bit of it here, but maybe you can go over some things and drop something else. How do you make sure that you are building an audience that isn't just about a numbers game and that we're getting the followers of people that might actually buy from us?
Again, I think I've probably covered it, but I think getting really crystal clear on who your ideal client is. And I'm not just talking about, personas. I'm talking going really much deeper than that. How do they wake up in the morning? What are they feeling? What are they thinking? And then talk to that person. I'd say the other thing is never buy followers. I don't think that's such a big trend, but it was a massive trend at one point. And be authentic, be yourself. Be yourself. It's the biggest thing. There is nobody else that does you other than you. But what everybody else tries to do is blend in with other people. They try and take on other people's language or other people's way of doing things. Like if you don't use, like everybody loves using AF in their statements at the moment, and it's like a bugbear of mine, because if that's not your language and you don't talk to me like that, you don't need to start including that in your posts in whatever you're doing. So make sure the language that you use, and coming back to the AI side of things, make sure if you are going to use ChatGPT to create anything for you, that yes, you're taking it and you're looking at it, and then you're putting your thoughts, your opinion, you it up, be the one that people choose. Don't just take it, because you will be getting, everybody's copy is just starting to look the same, and it's your opinions and your experience that's going to make you stand out from other people.
Yeah, I think
well
we
as good
all
imagery.
need to lean into us more. One of the things that I like to pull on when I'm talking about that is a lady called Corinne Crabtree, which some of you may know, some of you won't. She is a Texan, and she does the No BS podcast, and she's a weight loss coach, and she swears like a mofo in everything, and she's like, if you don't like it, I'm not the coach for you, and that's it. And that's how she differentiates herself, and the people that want to come to her will come to her, and the people that are turned off by it won't work with her. And that is a way to stand out in the crowd, is to be you. That's her. It's not,
and don't worry
she's not
about
putting it
who
on.
you're repelling, because they weren't your people anyway.
Exactly. Do we have any questions from the audience? Catherine, got to run around anywhere? Oh, we've all got fabulous audiences. We don't need any help. Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming, Janine.
Welcome.
I really appreciate having you on the stage. Thank you very much. You may take a seat. Thank you, Janine.
Don't forget to hit those stars and leave a review of the podcast where you listen if you found value in what you heard today. It's a free way you can help the podcast reach more people just like you.